Hi, my name is Filiberto Amati, and I'm a partner at Amati and Associates in Warsaw. We're here today for another session on the future of events research, which I am conducting with Marco Bevolo. Welcome, Marco.
Thank you.
Today's guest is Aurelien van Barten, who's a former financier, corporate finance guy, converted entrepreneur. He's the co-founder of Wabel and the co-founder of Needle, who are actually two organizations who are working on events and matchmaking. So they pretty much fit very well with the scope of our research. Welcome, Aurelien. How are you?
Very good. Thank you very much, actually, Filiberto, for inviting me. Thank you very much, Marco, as well, for having me. I'm really excited to discuss today a topic that we try to read a lot about it, to inform ourselves, and we get a ton of feedback from a lot of clients, customers, and buyers. So we are really happy to share what we learned in the past years, and especially during the past 2 years.
Perfect. So can you put in context a little bit what is Wabel, what you do, and what is Needle, and what you do, so that our audience is aware of, and self-promotion never hurts at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just giving a bit of content and why actually I'm invited today. So Wabel and Needle actually are two different brands that we started. Wabel is here to help exporters to meet in a very qualitative ways buyers that are from the same category of their products and who do have an interest in what they do have to offer. So that is very unique in the marketplace. And at the same time, buyers, we offer them with the Wabel the capacity to discover based on their needs. So we bring here artificial intelligence, also with the support of our experts internally, but we give them the direct access to companies that match directly their needs. They select it, they vet it, thanks to the online company profile, and then they meet them face to face. We do that for the past 8 years across all product category in the fast-moving consumer good industry. And then as the time goes, we wanted to give an access to, at the same time, the buyers and the sellers to an online platform, so there is no gap in between two events, right? So we wanted actually to close the loop. And of course, it accelerated dramatically for us in the past 2 years during the sanitary issue that we all faced. And I will be happy actually to share more on that front.
Thank you. And for the sake of, let's say, honesty and disclosure, well, quite a few of our clients have been working with you and use your platforms for international expansion and are incredibly happy with it. So that's why we also invited you to join us. Marco, take the lead.
Thank you very much for your introduction. And well, you are calling in from Paris today. Just a background question. What is the regional stretch of your business interest? I don't say your current companies, just in general. Of course, if you are from Paris, you are Parisian, and that's already quite of a statement. I always say that it's very difficult to be Lyon because it's the city number 2 in a country where the city number 1 is Paris, so there is only Paris. But from your point of view, what is your regional stretch of interest when it comes to cutting edge events? Just a preliminary question to set the tone.
Yeah, I think we are very global. Me personally, actually, I live in more than 10 countries probably before, so I'm not sure I'm really 100% Parisian, but we work with suppliers from over 25 countries, exactly the same actually for purchasing groups. So we work with purchasing groups, whether they are retail chains, importers, distributors, wholesalers, as well from Europe for sure, but also from Asia, where we spent quite a lot of time, and we brought our clients actually to that market. And we also have more and more retail chain from the Americas, from different countries in really Latin America, who are trying to find alternative new products for their clients, but also North America and Canada. So I would say that our footprint is pretty global today. And even if some client of us would like to sometime have a focus on the French market, well, we're happy to do. I would say that number one reason that they come to us is to have a really global perspective.
Okay, thank you very much. From your global perspective and from your global experience, if we look at the future of events and of business events, in terms of formats, in terms of platforms, do you see a return to physical events, perhaps with some stop and go like we are experiencing at the moment, as the main traction format for business events? Do you see a future where digital platforms will prevail, or do you see a hybrid situation where there will be a mix? And in that case, what mix will you see in what Filiberto loves to call a phygital world that awaits us?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm trying to stick with really what I observe, what I understand, and what I know, and more importantly, what our clients and buyers are sharing with us. So I'm going to try really to stick there. In terms of the event, as you noticed, that's true that there has been a very long period of time where most of the event has been halted, right? So I think that in that sense, it gives and it forces buyers and suppliers to find alternative ways to continue their business. And what we observe is that they did it very, very well, right? So they missed probably on a personal level a lot of different experience in having a drink, having a coffee with partners. But in the end of the day, I think everybody did a really good job. And sometimes I heard probably late 2020, people were a bit tired about all these online tools. But in the end of the day, in 2021, everybody has a great setup. We see a lot more professional equipment. And that, in my understanding, means that now that people are equipped, they are more comfortable with the tool they are using every day, and they really benefit from what the technology can bring to them now, but also in the long term. So I see companies who have a specific room to conduct their business meetings with buyers. Buyers the same way. Either they do the meeting from their home because now, even in retail chain, we see also more and more balance in their work. When I say balance, I mean like how many days they spend home and how many days they spend at the office. So I think that as they do many meetings back to back, they are very used to use the tools, and they use it very well, and they see the efficiency of conducting meetings because it gives them back hours in their day that, looking for a meeting room, looking for this, looking for that. So in that aspect, they are really using today a lot of different tools they didn't use back when the pandemic started. Which bring me to the topic is like event, has a different meaning, right? Because people are just working in a very different setup in a very different way. So the approach to the event has changed in that respect.
A follow-up, Aurelien, because what you said is very interesting, and I see a lot of companies actually, on one end, complaining about this shift, but as you say, be pretty much ready today to tap into this digitalized and type of events. But on the other hand, how, especially because you work with helping companies developing commercial relationship, how that changes with the funnel.
Yeah.
So on top of the funnel versus the bottom when you really need to close the deal.
Yeah, so I wanted to give you a little bit of context about how I see people working today. So I didn't approach the event yet, but the context is there. So the people are working in a very different way. And bottom line, when we start to approach the event and what are they waiting for from the event organizers, right, such as ourselves, which we provide one specific format. We're not the only one, but definitely I think that every type of events now need to find a space, a niche where it answers specific needs, right? And the needs can be a bit blurry according to which organizer it is. And that's why I think the market is going to evolve and is being transformed as we speak to make sure that every attendees to an event find exactly what they're looking for. So if I come back to what I understand and to what I've been receiving in terms of feedback from buyers and sellers, because that's what we do for us in terms of events. It's a very typical, it can apply to many industries. We have sellers on the one end and we have buyer on the other end, but it's a very clear B2B event. So the targets for the sellers in our case, but in many cases, is for the sellers to generate leads, right? And they want to close more business. So that's the target that we monitor. It's not the target for all events to generate to their sellers, but it is for us and to many events. And for the buyers to find new partners. And one of the issues that, or I can name actually more issues that all of those participants and sellers and buyers face is, or what they're looking at is like cost associated with return on investment, which is more and more measured, right? So you think like the media 20 years ago, right? You spend maybe a lot of money on TV, but now with the online tools, people, they want to see the return on investment. So they ask again, okay, the TV is probably like 20 to 50% drop to when it was 20 years ago. And now that the budget is shifting and they want something with more return on investment. And at the same time, they have a new habit and new way of interacting with potential buyers, and same for the buyers to interact with new potential suppliers. So it's not like a disruption in their day-to-day. It's about how do they actually save time, cost, reach, and efficiency, right? So I think that the winner of tomorrow, if we have to really discuss and enter in each point specifically, because that's where it comes down to cost, reach, I think, and efficiency, which is a good hypothesis to start with.
Yeah, another follow-up on that, because it actually, what you just mentioned now, this landmark shift towards, analytics and measurability, in a way changes the purpose and the business model of fair and trade organizers, trade fair organizers, to the extent that you go from creating a platform where, what you care about and what you track, it's the quality of the people coming. So are the top producers and the top buyers there, and then not your problem if they don't meet, to actually being a key enabler, a market maker almost. You become a market maker in that sense, no?
Exactly, and even more than that. So when you have events, so you have like many events, and I think that the event in itself is successful if there is a lot of people at the same place, which is become a meeting place and a networking place, where the success is based on the involvement of the suppliers to actually do the effort, spend the time, spend the money, which adds up to an astronomical amount of money, and everybody is clear on that, because the one that do not put the effort, the return is very, very thin, to not say in existence, because usually you have also different location, right? So you have the prime location when in the physical event, and you have the not prime location, which is not really helpful at all. And when you talk about those events, the goal is different, and when you see actually why those people are going to those events, is very different to B2B event that we focus on, which focused on return on investment, reach, and efficiency. But there is totally different. So when I say there, I mean all the global event organizer is like a lot of people coming at the same place. They do not have a clear understanding who is coming for the organizer, but the one who are coming needs to really understand that they need to work a lot to generate some success because it's just a lot of people coming at the same place, and they can meet their clients. I would say that the vast majority of the companies who actually enjoy going to those networking events to network and not work, to network with their existing customers. Of course, they work, but the environment is not really set up to have a very long and studious meeting, which is very fruitful into how they're going to run their business in the next 12 months and see everything, because it's not the right environment to do that. So it's more like networking with the people you know, just so you have a contact and a handshake, and then you can set up another meeting actually later. In terms of finding the true business partner that is going to take you to the next level, the probability on those type of physical events is extremely thin, because you can understand that the opportunity to really meet the right companies, so the companies to be there at the right location, to have the right research, it's extremely small. And usually the buyers that we see are coming to those time of B2B event, they already have a very limited amount of time. They usually cannot stay overnight or cannot actually receive gifts or any sort of drinks or anything from their vendors, of course, because it's regulated by the company's policies for the most part, and they have to rent from their existing suppliers to another one, and then they wrap it up and then they go. So the moment that they really have in the day to really take time to meet new potential vendors is small, but also it's not something that they want to really pursue and to walk 20 kilometers to really maybe find a needle in a hashtag. So that's why we call it as well that. For us, it's very precise, and there is a lot of work to do for that.
And on that note, and then I'll pass the mic to Marco. I think what you say is very important, because what we have observed pre-COVID, it's actually an explosion of platforms, an explosion of event and conference organizers and so on and so forth. But the bottom line, what you observe, if what you observe, it's gonna also happen on the more content conference side, then there is going to be basically only conferences with really, really top-notch content or great networking opportunities. But everything in between, boom, probably it's going to disappear in the next 2-3 years.
I think that today with the online tools that are really happening, the event organizer had to be extremely precise. So either it's a very big fair where it's a networking spot and everybody bring their own network. So basically you can really try to arrange your day as you see fit. And that's true, you can save some travel afterwards. When travel is going to be possible again. We don't know exactly when yet. But that's for sure. So the big events where companies can save time, it's good to network with their existing customers. When the companies, buyers or sellers, they want to go one step further into their sourcing or into their expansion and find matching partners, I think that events such as what we are doing is really filling that needs, in a sense that it's cost efficient, right? So it's online business meetings, so it saves a lot of money. It's good for the planet as well, because you save on travel and especially on the installation into the pallets shipping, where most of the case it's not used in the right way or not really efficient to 200%. The reach is much bigger, because you can do the presentation, the matching before, right? So it's like an app before, maybe people to find their loved ones, you know, they go to a big place where there are a lot of people and try to mingle. But today the reality is like a lot of people are using apps and it works pretty well, I understood. And that's the same for the business world, where so the matching before is the key for success. And then in our case, we make sure that 100% of the meetings we deliver are agreed, and on both parties know exactly what they're going to do. and the preparation is absolutely key. And that's what we don't see in a physical events where, okay, they see their customers. Usually they understand already and they prepare their work and they prepare what they want to say to their clients. So that's very clear. When it comes maybe with one or two potential customers, they don't have the time to do the preparation. So at best they can share contact details and then they can schedule for a meeting. So what we do is two steps in one. So the matchmaking is done prior to the online event. And then during the online event, we set up the frame to have a very successful, long enough meetings where they can really go into the details because they work a lot on the preparation. And what we see now is that it's going to be quite rare that suppliers take the planes and spend a full day to go to a meeting where they absolutely have no idea if they have a chance to work together, right? So of course they go to meet their clients. Of course they go that maybe they want to discuss some details because they need to finish the last mile together. So they need to meet up. But if it's just a meeting to understand who you are, what you do, how can we work together, I don't think anybody that is really coherent and pay a bit of attention of their budget is going to invest on that just to understand if there is a potential match. And of course, if there is a potential match, when you do a good enough presentation, and that's what we understand, we have to help our suppliers, help our buyers to conduct better and to bring as much support as we can. And that will help the quality of the meeting. And then it will lead to potentially face-to-face meeting. They can meet up again somewhere and they can take the relationship down the road to successful business partnership.
Cool, thanks. Marco?
So basically, the way you see the sales funnel, which is the kind of heartbeat of business events, is cost versus reach versus efficiency, if I understand well. So this is your bottom line. And you, from what I gather from your very articulate answer, is that in the international context, you see business events happening digitally in two steps: matchmaking and preparation, that is key, and then combining and creating the enabling conditions for an effective, high quality interaction. So this is the sort of international perspective, if I'm correct, if I summarize correctly.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
we were lucky enough to went into some big fair recently, and I think that what I observe as well is the people who attend, they do as well try to prepare as well a bit better, but there is much less people, and they understand that they really need to do the jobs to really meet their own clients. But when, as I said, companies want to expand their business and the buyers want to actually do sourcing, they understand now that as well, in the past, probably there was the thought that large events were a potential solution for that. Nobody really expressed that way. But now that people use tools and do it very well, we think that the online business meeting that we do generate are appreciated. And when we ask the question, how many want to continue business meeting online, 92% of the buyers and sellers said that they want to continue with that format, which is a lot of matchmaking. Matchmaking before, a lot of preparation, and that's absolutely key. But the quality of the business meeting, which is already very much advanced in the funnel, right? So if you talk about the funnel, that we do a lot of heavy lifting for our clients in the sense that we take care of the offer. We have a secret recipe to make sure that we explain their business in the best way to potential clients. Then we make sure there is a large reach. So our reach is far superior to what you could do in the physical events, because your reach is limited to the people that can see physically your small space, right? And so the reach is higher, like what you use every day on your phone, on your smartphone with the apps, right? The reach is huge on digital. There is no question about that. And in terms of the efficiency, that's extremely efficient and it's very comfortable, right? So everybody is comfortable. They have their own space. They have their own preparation. They are not tired or in very or distracted with noisy environment. A lot of time, a lot of preparation. The vendors are more prepared, and the vendors as well appreciate that. Sometimes you need to wait 2 hours in a specific event. So we see a lot of upside when it comes networking. All right, physical events. When it comes to business, we see that online business meeting is a good format.
And I would like to ask you to expand briefly on the networking, because you articulated it's quite noticeable that you kind of separate networking and matchmaking, where networking is enabled by matchmaking. But the more local, regional, national events that are happening in terms of physical presence, and they are more generic networking. Filiberto mentioned the conferences of the future will have top-notch speakers and very precise networking strategies, or they will fail. So that's a position. What is your position on the physical side of events, and what is the synergy there? What is the touch point between the two domains, if there is a touch point?
Yeah, well, there is. Maybe I'm going to start where what you expressed in terms of the conference and the speakers. So for me, it's
Absolutely.
a very specific type of events, like when there is conferences, speakers. So basically, it's more like training and learning. So it's a different experience. And I think that from what I see as well and what's happening and where our clients are going, in that those type of events, a lot can be actually done online, but there is not this networking component. So the people who want to network and speak to a lot of people just to have a feel of the market, right? Because when you meet a lot of people, you just have a lot of different feedback, and you can see people, you can get some feedback, ask questions, just kind of have a feeling, right? It's a very specific purpose that people have to, they go to those different kind of more conference events with great speaker for that. And I think that's the only type of event we can call hybrid, in a sense that, for example, we all used to see, for example, on national television, probably, a concert, for the festivities, the New Year or whatever, where, you have people in the room, they go there for a specific reason, and there is people behind their TV because, it's more convenience, it's probably, more affordable as well. And also it's very comfortable, right, to see a very live event on the screen digitally. So it's the same, I think, for the big conference, right? And the only one that kind of hybrid event where there is a lot of people in the room, they come here not to listen to the speaker, otherwise they cannot do it on their computer, but they come there probably to have this networking. But when I say networking, is a lot of random networking where you just go, you happen to meet somebody, and I didn't see yet an event where you go for networking, but you also did, you filled up your agenda so tight that you don't have the space to do any networking, right? So there is a balance to be found.
Do you think that these let's call it sharper understanding of the networking value and dynamics, because 20 years ago it was natural. We used to work, Filiberto and I, 15 years ago in high tech. You needed to go to Las Vegas for a consumer electronics show. You need to go to Barcelona for the big mobile communication fair. You needed to be, in the case of of a design organization, you need to visit with 15 designers the Milano Design Week. So those were events where you needed to be there. As you say, lots of content was published, televised, broadcast, recorded, available already in print, in video before YouTube even. But at the same time, people were going there to be there, to meet people, to hang around, to listen to conversations, what have you.
Exactly.
Now this is less efficient. It's identified as a cost. Do you think there is a future for this kind of loose, open-ended gatherings that used to be? They used to be at the heart of business events because everybody was going there. Do you think it will fade away like the diesel engine with respect to the electric engine? Or do you think there will still be, like in the case of oil engines with classic cars, there will be still niches? How do you see the market of in-presence events restructuring?
Yeah, definitely. I think that as you just say, restructuring, I think there is going to be a concentration, right? So there is going to be a more concentrated events. So the events where the company is going to say, okay, I don't want to invest that much money in that event because I'm not really sure, my money is well invested there. I'm not going to send my team there because, probably they're going to have a nice trip, but, in terms of business, it's not that good. So I think that is going to concentrate the events you mentioned probably going to have a long life. Having said that, some of the massive brands, they found new channels, right? So if you go to the automobile industry or the mobile, if you don't have the three large makers in the show, it's like, it's a bit of a void, right? And that's what I see recently, actually, when you have the three main makers in that disappeared from an event, either they come back and okay, probably good for the event, either they don't, and it's forever lost. And that it's going to attract less visitors, and then it's where it starts to become complicated. But in terms of the physical event, in the same company is going to focus on cost rich, I think, also on efficiency and branding, right? So company, they want to display their brand and make sure they are there, they are present, and they need to understand how many people see their brand. And that's why it's being challenged in the automotive, in the mobile, because their brand can be more visible for less money with online tools, so social media, even their sales force. When we talk about B2B and less B2C, they are more active with social selling, right? So social selling has been developing massively. Zoom has been growing like exponentially, Slacks, all the tools where it makes the relationship in B2B much faster, much easier, which actually give second thoughts to a lot of companies. And even when they come back to large events, what they tell us is going to be paying attention to how big they want their space to be. So definitely there's going to be some concentration and some more focus and trying to bring more efficiency in those sort of events. But the mean and the goal to attend to those events is mixed between branding, meeting their clients, and a bit of networks and a bit of learning, right? So it's a combination of things that they are very small each, but they come to a big combination at the end. And for online business meetings, a lot of try, not a lot of success, but what we understand is going to explode, and what we see as with our customers and buyers is that when you have a great marketing, a lot of preparation, and you deliver the right format, it cannot be beaten, right? Super efficiency and super affordable.
Clear. But devil's advocate question. One thing that is also necessary in a way is to be at an event or in a city I know of an art curator who was faking being in Berlin or London. She was sitting in Italy, but she was taking a picture and saying a great show in Berlin. So she was not lying technically, but she was letting people imply by her communication that she was in Berlin, London, Paris, or whatever, and she was sitting in Milano, because of the need to be seen on an event. So do you think that attending the Consumer Electronics show in presence and being in presence with a booth and then generating social media will be a collateral value that justifies the cost of being in Las Vegas? After all, what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. So in this case, what happens in Las Vegas goes global, and everybody knows that you have been a keynote speaker or a leading brand in Vegas. Do you think there will be value that the market is going to recognize in this social media collateral spin-off? Or do you think this will progressively fade away? Do you have a picture of the dynamic there?
I have some feedback, for example, of the companies, what on CES, and it's actually very similar to what we observe in B2B, right? If you go to CES and you're a B2C brand, for sure, if there is a lot of people, you always think, great, there is 100,000 of people who see my brand, it's potential customer, so it's a win already. So I think that if it's big venues with a lot of customers for their B2C brand, it can be attractive in that respect. But when we talk about B2B, really meeting potential customers very well selected, well, the networking part, as we said, is efficient because you meet quite a lot of people, but in terms of business, it's extremely small because the matching and the preparation is absolutely not present, right? So the matching, it's not really there before. It's just spontaneous networking. Sometimes it can work, but it's very rare. And most of the time, it's good because you have a feel of the market. You see what your competitors are doing. I think that's interesting in that respect, just to have a feel about the market, even how much you value that, and if you can do it online before or not. And at the same time, it's exactly the same. If you don't prepare it before, the result is extremely small. I have a lot of companies who told me they went, and at the end of the day, they didn't do any business, just because they were just attending it and waiting for magically somebody to come and say they want to buy their products. But that's not really how it works. And I think that for the past 2 years, it accelerated, and a lot of companies are working to facilitate the matching, the access for the sellers and buyers to do a lot more online, much faster, much better.
I have a question to both of you, especially on the side of content/networking, because from what you from the question and the answer, it seems to me that we are one of the potential future scenarios is that content will be produced in a venue, but broadcast to very broad access all around the world, so that if you want to see a conference or a keynote in Japan, you can watch it on Open or Facebook or YouTube, whatever the platform is. That's not important. And that's most of the people will access the content there. But then there is going to be a polarization with an elite of people who have the opportunity to go networking at the place where the content is produced. It's like going to the World Cup in the stadium to mingle with other fans, as opposite as watching the match, which you could have done easily in front of your TV.
Exactly.
Is that a plausible future scenarios for more content-intensive events?
Well, I think yes and no, because in a sense, a lot of organizers try to make as well their event quite accessible, especially for buyers where there is a low entrance fee or probably is free. And on the other side, when we talk about B2B events, where I try to focus on now, that's true that the company is going to look twice, how much they spend and what they're really going to get. And that's why some people want to really have a specific focus. So on the sports events, it's really to understand that it's the adrenaline, it's the fact to be there and to enjoy the moment. But what we see in a lot of physical events, if the moment is enjoyable, it's good. But sometimes the experience that you live when you're physically there is not that that impressive, right? Sometimes it's in a big hall, like calls millions of people. You don't have anywhere to sit and to have a good business meeting. So I would say that on the event that are probably more B2C, there's going to be a lot of traction when it's going to be B2B.
But let me quickly challenge you on that, Aurelien, because in Web Summit in Portugal, which happened recently, it really attracts a massive number of people. It's huge. And then I haven't been, but I talked to a lot of companies and partners and clients who go there. It's a B2B event. It's not really a consumer event. It's tech-related startups, investors, accelerators, incubator, you name it. But a lot of them end up going because, wow, it's the Web Summit, and then they can get half of the content in presence. They actually watch it online afterwards. And it's so big that they feel like in a stadium. So
exactly, it's the experience, right?
So it's their experience, but then you don't go back.
Well, some people don't actually, so that's what I heard. That's true. So there's probably going to be a lot of rotation, because in the end of the day, the experience, what I heard is like, wow, it's massive. There are a ton of people. I didn't have the chance to really sit down and have a very constructive conversation. Just say hi to many different people, listen to a lot of conferences, and trying to have a feel for the market, right? So that's for the CES, for the automotive. You're trying to have just a vision about what the market has to offer, and try to get one or two keywords. So when you're back to the office, you can probably say, okay, there is this trend, there is that trend, there is that potential solution. So it's more to try to get some trends, some niche, to speak as many people as you can, and is more into this networking thing that we were discussing earlier, that it could be interesting.
Yeah, on the other hand, I think I agree with Filiberto on the polarization between the happy few and the rest of the world. I think I'm on the advisory board of a kind of a luxury, well, it's a sustainability platform with a luxury, super luxury yachting mission called Earth 300 in Singapore. And they have to go because they want to build a vessel that is going to cost more than $500 million. They have to go to all the fairs, not all, but they have to go to very selected events like Monaco. They have to meet people in person, because I think that there is, but please, Aurelien, contradict me if you think I'm wrong. I think from my experience that there are markets and there are industries where you might want to take a trip to the other side of the world to give a 20-minute speech for one person in the audience. I remember an event in Dubai, business to business, lighting related, where I gave a presentation of, I was keynote, so I gave a presentation of 40 minutes. I thought that the event was not very well attended because there were only 35 people in the audience. But then I asked to the organizers, are you happy? Because I gave my keynote, you paid my costs to come to Dubai, you paid me a fee, I'm very happy, but are you happy? They said, we are absolutely delighted. And I said, but you only had 35 people in the audience. Yes, but we had I don't know if a sheikh or a CEO, or we had an important guy, and at the end of the event, he signed the contract to sponsor us for the next year. So actually the event, it was an event with public announcement, biographies, the formal dinner, all the things of an event. But the event was an event for one. The audience was the guy who needs to put the signature. And we are talking about really super luxury market. Do you think, do you recognize this dynamic of the happy few versus the rest of us? And if yes, how do the two words talk to each other, if they will talk to each other, if they will?
Yeah, in the sense of the happy few, what I recognize is I think that if the professional with a high level of responsibility, they might have more opportunity, to go to different kind of event that they want to have. Many companies have stopped business travel, suspended business travel for now. So we don't know until when it's going to happen. What it means is that definitely the employees in the companies are guided, to continue their business online in a more cost and efficient manner. So that's a fact, and we don't know exactly until when that policy is going to remain.
Yeah.
But so far, that's what it is. For some industries, definitely there is a part of the dream, and also there is a part of show, as its name is, to make a show and to actually to convey that message and to try to raise up the appetite with this force of kind of very close distances to try to close the relationship. But again, I think that when we talk about efficiency, reach, and a return on investment,
that's
of things that have been coming back.
That's clear. But I think when you run in the supper, of course, nobody is better than very rich people in saving money. So that's the rule of thumb. I have friends who are working in the art, in the luxury categories, and they are very, very cautious and conscious. But in a way, you cannot sell 500,000 both.
If you still dream, if you accept some people who want to have a dream event where it's extremely comfortable, it's extremely nice. Everybody wants to go to a boat show or air show, right? Because it's usually next to, it's on the water, right? It's a nice place. You have a lot of freebies, so everybody really enjoy that. There is a lot of people as well that just come here just as a tour, as a visit, as an entertainment. So there is an entertainment side of things, and that's what's actually keep those kind of events.
Perfect.
For some specific, very specific actors, actually.
Thank you so much, Filiberto.
I have no further questions. You, Marco?
Well,
any follow-up, anything else?
Yeah, where do you think, very shortly, where do you think you will be in 5 years from now related to the event industry?
Yeah, so to the event industry, what we want is to try to continue to bring more value. So we see value, what we say, so in the different stages of the funnel. We think that we have a lot to do on training to make sure that the companies are very much prepared. And what we see is that we were talking about, the opportunities, the access, and to bring that knowledge to the companies in a very easy way is going to drive up the expertise of all the attendees. And when you say driver's expertise is knowledge, and it's knowledge that they can reuse in their professional life, in their current company, in the next companies, and build up their expertise. And there is a big change to do that. We want to make that very accessible, to make sure that the business meeting is going to be only one element, but there is a lot to do before and a lot to do after to try to bring added value services in the lowest cost possible. That's what the digital tools have been doing for decades now, right? So that's where digital kicks in, right?
Yeah.
High content, great access to everybody at a reasonable cost.
Yeah, perfect. Filiberto, would you like to wrap this excellent interview? I'm really grateful to Aurelien for the contribution. This was, I just give a lot of notes that I took and some digital. I'm really looking forward to the next opportunities to continue our dialogue.
Sure.
And Filiberto, would you like to close?
Yeah, no, I just want to thank both of you. It was a great conversation. I think very insightful based on your experience and your vision. Aurelien, thank you very much. And thank Marco for helping structuring the research as usual. So we look forward to, speaking with you, Aurelien, in the future, maybe for a follow-up interview.
And thank you very much, Marco. And I'm really looking forward to actually read your research and all of the feedback that you get from all the different professionals. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.